Yeah, welcome everyone. The Marijuana Times show for December 19th, 2017. I am your host, Joe Clare. You find myself and many other great writers over at marijuanatimes.org, writing about the latest in the cannabis community and industry. You find these videos there for sharing on your social media networks as well. You find them on our Facebook page, The Marijuana Times, and also on our YouTube page. Of course, a lot of stuff to talk about today. What's going on in Maine? A possible extract crackdown for medical marijuana patients in Maine. Also, medical marijuana for kids with cancer. Some interesting poll results there. Also, California issuing the first licenses for the recreational market. We'll talk about all that coming up. But first, of course, I'll tell you that the Marijuana Times show is brought to you by Natureside Cannabis.com. Natureside Cannabis, organic, all-natural pesticides. Pass regulations in your state, whether you're in California or Colorado or Washington or Oregon or beyond. You want to grow safe and poison-free with Naturesidecannabis.com. You also want to be selling your customers cannabis with dangerous chemicals in it. You want to avoid all that. Good organic, all-natural pesticides. People at Natureside Cannabis can also help you pass regulations in your state, so go check them out. A proud sponsor of the Marijuana Times show, of course. This first story is a story I wrote over at marijuanatimes.org. Medical marijuana extract processors and edible makers face an imminent crackdown in Maine. Current rules in Maine state that only a caregiver and one employee can touch any medical marijuana that is going to be given to a patient. Essentially means the caregivers have to make the products themselves and can't buy them from a kitchen or lab that specializes in that kind of work. Back and forth donation system has been a workaround that these processors have been using to supply caregivers, but now the Maine Department of Health and Human Services says that practice is illegal and that all the processors must cease operations by February 1st, 2018. Julia Dawson, who's a caregiver and owns East Coast CBDs in Unity, Maine, said, quote, "When these rules kick in, we're going to see a lot of frustrated patients struggling to find medicine that works best for their needs, as well as plenty of upset business owners that have invested many hours and dollars. If processors are forced to shut down," she said, "we'll lose some of the most qualified and knowledgeable experts in the industry, as well as some of their state-of-the-art facilities." In other words, if there's a crackdown, a lot of these people will go underground. A lot of patients will have to go without. It's Maine's already having trouble with the recreational program and getting it off the ground with vetoes by the governor, and the governor hates marijuana legalization. And it's just been, it's been bad so far, and this can make things even worse if these extract makers are forced to shut down. To drive this industry underground would be ridiculous and pointless. But that's what a lot of government people specialize in. The useless and the pointless and the waste of time and the waste of resources and all that. That's their bread and butter, so to speak. You can go see that story at marijuanatimes.org, of course. This next story is from forbescom. An overwhelming majority of healthcare professionals who care for children with cancer would be willing to help those children get medical marijuana. A survey of pediatric oncology providers published in Pediatrics, 85% of providers who were certified to provide access for medical marijuana would be willing to help children with cancer access it, compared to the 95% of their colleagues who lack the ability to provide it. Those with professional ability to provide patients with medical marijuana were also less supportive of children smoking it or using oral formulations, though they strongly supported clinical trials to investigate its use in children. They also became increasingly willing to support children's use of it as a child's disease became more advanced or the child came closer to dying. That's odd. That's odd to me. That the closer they are to dying, like, oh well, now they can use medical marijuana. If a child has cancer, the marijuana, there's been no evidence that the marijuana is going to make their cancer worse. To deny this treatment, a possible treatment, deny something to give them a better quality of life and say, oh, well, we'll wait. We're going to wait until you're a little closer to death. Then we'll break out the medical marijuana and help you out. It's the ridiculousness. that surrounds this issue, especially medical marijuana, seems to reach incredible heights. Even with all the progress we've made, it's just incredible. Absolutely incredible. This last story is from apnews.com. It's an Associated Press story. California issues first licenses for its legal pot market. California on last week issued its first batch of business licenses for state's upcoming legal marijuana market. For the state's upcoming legal marijuana market. Setting the stage for sales to begin in January. The first temporary license was awarded to Pure CA, which does business as Moxie brand products, a company known for its cannabis extracts. I couldn't be more excited, said Moxie CEO Jordan Lambs, who credited a lot of stars aligning for being awarded the first distribution license for recreational pot. He said California's been without regulations for a very long time, so there's going to be a transition period. The release of the initial 20 temporary licenses, good for 120 days, represents another stepping stone toward legal purchases, which were approved by voters last year. Lori Ajax, the state's top marijuana regulator, said in a statement, quote, "We plan to issue many more before January 1st. Again, those will be temporary licenses until the full licenses can be, the regulations can be worked out and people can be fully licensed. Distributors, processors, retailers, all of that. It's going to be, I mentioned this probably in story. I mentioned this in previous shows. They plan on issuing over 11,000 licenses in the first year. The first license for recreational retail sales went to Tory Holistics in San Diego, which submitted a 60-page lease, diagrams, and a detailed business plan. That is quite impressive. People are going to have businesses are going to have to jump through a lot of hoops out there in California, but things have begun. There was times when it looked like in California that things may not be ready by January 1st, but a lot of cities have passed their regulations. Emergency regulations have come down from the regulators in California, and temporary licenses are being distributed pretty what's the phrase I'm looking for? Quicker than many may have thought, or given the state government in California credit for. So good for them. Good for people in California who the recreational market will soon be in swing. I was going to say in full swing, but not full swing, but in swing at the very least. So congratulations to them. Thanks everybody who watches the show. Keep sharing and liking and all that. Thank you to naturesidecannabis.com for sponsoring the show. Go check them out. Organic, all natural pesticides. If you want to sponsor the show, info@marijuanatimes.org. Shoot us an email. Let us know. Like I said, I appreciate everybody out there who shares the show and likes and comments and all of that. Go check out marijuanatimes.org for more stories and these videos as well. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow as the week continues. We get closer to Christmas, closer to recreational sales in California. Progress continues. There are bumps and setbacks along the way, obviously, but progress continues, and we're here to make sure that it continues to continue. Thanks, everybody. This has been the Marijuana Times Show for December 19th, 2017. See you next time.